Now, South African universities in no particular order face the possibility of having their accreditation withdrawn or given conditions of improvement in the Bachelor of Laws or LLB qualification. This after the Council on Higher Education, CHE, released the outcomes of its national review of this qualification. The peer-driven process was initiated back in 2012 and a formal review started in 2016 to strengthen the quality of legal education provision across the South African universities. So we joined now by the drivers of the process, Olivia Mokgatle. She's the director in the National Standards and Reviews, and we're also joined by Senior Manager Dr. Siyanda Makaula. Good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming through. Now, Dr. Makaula, let's start with you. Just before we look into the findings, bring an understanding to us on the work of the Council on Higher Education.
Thank you. In brief, I'd like to say that the Council is basically the public protector of higher education. One of our main functions is, is just to make sure that there is a quality assurance in all the programs that the higher education institutions are providing. We also advise the Minister of Higher Education on all the issues that are coming through in the higher education space.
All right. Now, Mokgatle, unpack to us your findings. So just before we get into the findings, how did the Council get to a point whereby they decided to investigate and come up with these findings?
Okay. Actually, the decision to start this process dates back to 2012. It was a request from the South African law deans and the profession. They had a view that their program required looking into, that there were quality-related issues that they thought would benefit from a review. Mm-hmm. And the discussion in 2012 led to the Law Summit in 2013. Okay. I think it was around May. And what came out of the Law Summit, it was a meeting of the Department of Justice, ourselves, the Council on Higher Education, the Department of Higher Education and Training was involved. The Law Society, all the sector that has an interest in legal education was involved. And what came out of that summit was that indeed there is a need to review the program. But before we could do that, because we were going to now do a national review, not individual programs by institution. So we were required as CHE to go back and try and put together a national benchmark standard against which we will review all the programs. So from 2013 to 2015, we engaged in the process of doing that, consulting with all the stakeholders. But we had a core group of academics in law who were responsible for putting together a draft that we used to consult and get consensus around how a graduate of law should look like. Okay. In terms of the graduate attributes, the skills, the competencies required, and so forth. So we reached agreement and we now had a benchmark standard. So in 2015, we started the national review now of the programs against all the 17 institutions that offer law. So that's how it was a request from them requiring that they know something.
So it's been quite an intensive process. It's not something that started a few years ago. But the decision, Dr. Makaula, what does it mean? Does it mean that students from those affected universities or prospective students rather would not be able to enroll?
No, that's not what it means. I think we just need to make it very clear that at the moment all we did was to review the program and we found issues. In some instances there were conditions that we have put through because we found that there are small cracks within the program. Okay. And in about 4 institutions, there were bigger cracks. So we put these institutions under notice of withdrawal. So we are saying to them, within a 6 months period, we want to see an improvement plan. So if the issues that are in the improvement plan are not being addressed, this is now when the CHE is going to, only at that time, they're going to withdraw the program.
And which institutions are those?
For 4 institutions that were put on notice of withdrawal. It was the Northwest University, Walter Sisulu University, University of South Africa, and the University of the Free State. So these 4 institutions were put on notice of withdrawal. And all the other 14 institutions, because we actually evaluated 17 institutions, and only these 4 were put on notice of withdrawal, and then the others were put on conditions. So it could well be that there are minor issues that they need to deal with. But all the institutions must give us improvement plans.
But Ms. Mokgatle, what issues are those? Is it in relation to the curriculum maybe, or were you looking at the broader picture?
It's looking, a national review benefit in that we look at everything, from the curriculum to the institutional climate, because it supports learning. So all the issues that matters, that create an experience for the student when they leave and graduate, and they are able to learn and go through the program. So it's not just matters relating to the curriculum. Curriculum, yes, it's core. The design, the conceptual thinking around the curriculum are things that really matter. But at the same time, what support is in place to make sure that the students that enroll learn? Remember that there are also national imperatives that needs to be met through the LLB education. Issues open, widening access to everyone, diversity, race-related stuff, those kind of things, provision in terms of resources, your ITs, your learning spaces, your support staff. So it's looking across the entire, even the softer issues of institutional climate.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of things facilitate learning. So we had to look at those things as well. And some of the conditions are not necessarily related to the program design or the curriculum. There are issues that relate to transformation. That more than 20 years after independence, we still have institutions where the staff demographics are almost 100% white.
Yeah, yeah.
That's an issue of transformation. That's an issue that the accreditation criteria states that there has to be diversity in terms of that.
But what is blocking that transformation to happen? It's been, I mean, we've been singing this song since 1994, but it looks like it's not happening.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
You see, moving from this, after the outcomes are out, the next step is another crucial step. The national report on the status or the state of legal education in South Africa. Those are the things that are going to now go into all the 17 reports that we have for individual institutions. In the analysis to distill what the issues are. Perhaps we need now go back to the drawing boards and say, in terms of policy, in terms of support, because sometimes it's issues that go beyond the institution. Perhaps the Department of Higher Education has to step in. Perhaps the Department of Justice has to step in. So once we have the national report out, all the key stakeholders will have to engage and say, what is our role in this? Do we still go back or maybe this was just a dream that's impossible? Remember also that there were measures. It's the provision in the where you have an institution with now 2 sides of delivery. Is it the same thing, or is it 2 different things? You see, some of the conditions relate to that.
Yes. You wanted to add on that?
Yes.
No, I just wanted to say that I think there are huge inequalities, in terms of provision of higher education. As Olivia was saying, in some of the merged institutions, you find that they merged a previously disadvantaged institution and a previously advantaged institutions, but the disparities are still there.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the issues that we have picked up. And we are just saying to the institutions and the Department of Higher Education, all these issues have to be fixed. Yeah. Otherwise our students are not getting the quality education that they're supposed to get. Yeah.
All right, so the council has given those affected universities 6 months, meaning that you're expecting a progress report in the first week of October. Yes. And then your final decision will be based on what you get from those institutions.
Well, not necessarily. You see, depending on the nature of the condition or the issue, Some are short term. The 6 months would be enough. In that case, we need progress. And then on the basis of the progress, and if we're happy with the progress made, then we can say, well, it's okay, then they can get their full
because
accreditation.
transformation cannot be achieved over 6 months.
But there are some things that are long term, and the long term months, those are the things that we require an improvement plan. Show us how you are going to deal with this and what resources are you going to put in place to make sure this happens. I mean, 20 years later, they were told to do that then. We cannot be speaking of 100% white staff profile in institutions now.
Yeah.
So we would want a plan that would has potential to yield the results that we want. So it might be a year, more than a year. So it's like you say, it's something that will take a while to do that.
Can I just add that I think we want to assure the society and the students at large that are registered with the LLB that at this moment we have not withdrawn accreditation from any institution. We just put them on notice of withdrawal. But should they fail,
will not be affected.
Yes, to do what they're supposed to do, then we'll draw the accreditation.
All right. No, we'll leave it at that, but thank you so much. Surely we'll be in conversation with both of you again towards the beginning of October to hear on the progress report. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. There you have it. The Council on Higher Education is responsible, or rather is responsible for quality assurance in higher education, as you have heard. Now, they've released these outcomes of the National Review on the Bachelor of Laws, LLB qualification. If you are a potential or current law student, talk to us about your thoughts on these changes at Morning Live SABC. It is our Twitter handle. Let's quickly take a break here on the show, and we'll be back right after this.